So I really don't know how to start this video other than to be open and honest and real and raw with you all about my feelings, where I'm at mentally and in my current situation. But basically, my mom has cancer, and I mentioned this before in Instagram back a few months ago, and I just don't really talk about it that often because I want to be, you know, that source of positivity for you all. I want my channel to be a place where you can find comfort and find some type of alleviation from, you know, your stresses in your everyday life and an escape from reality. And so it's hard to be that positive influence when you yourself aren't feeling so positive. And basically, just a lot has been going on in my personal life that I don't really broadcast on the internet because it's scary to be vulnerable and open and honest in front of thousands of people because, you know, some people may not understand where you're coming from. Some people may take your words and twist them into something that's not. People can, you know, use you being vulnerable and hold it against you, and it's scary. But at the same time, you know, a lot of people can respect my story and respect my experience and respect my feelings, and that my emotions are valid and the things that I'm experiencing are valid. And so the purpose of this video is to just give you some insight on where I'm coming from as a human being, and that, you know, we're not all always okay, and it's okay to not be okay sometimes. And hopefully this also gives you, you know, some strength, hopefully, because, you know, in handling everything that's been going on in my personal life, I'm actually really proud of how I've been handling things and how I've been able to move on with my life and still work at certain things while having things happening, you know, in my personal life. And so hopefully this is a source of strength for you too as well, and also just to get some things off my chest, because as of recently I've been getting some anxiety about this topic, and I'm not the type that usually, you know, gets anxiety or whatnot, but you know, we're all human beings, we all have feelings, we all go through things, and so we handle them in certain ways. And so I just want to let you know that I'm human and that we go through things, and that hopefully if you're watching this, whether you're a supporter of mine, friend or family or foe, whether you like me or not, all I ask is for you to just respectfully listen and just hear my story and where I'm coming from. So I guess I'm just gonna start this off chronologically. I think that would make the most sense. So my mom was diagnosed with stage 4 ovarian cancer, and we found that out about March. And just hearing that news, I remember, you know, them coming home from her appointment and my dad yelling at my sister and I, "Kevin, Christina, come downstairs." And then, you know, we're just like, what's wrong? What's going on? And my mom is in tears, and I just remember her looking at me with such despair, and she had to tell us, and she said, "I have stage 4 cancer." And, you know, being uneducated in that, you know, field, you just hear stage 4 cancer, and it's just like an overwhelming veil of darkness shrouding around your shoulders. And I just remember immediately hugging her and just having her cry on my chest. And it was so heartbreaking to see her like that, because you never want to see your mom so sad. In that moment, it was really hard to just take it all in and just to process what was going on, because I was like, what? Because honestly, this came so unexpected. She basically went to the doctor because she had this bump down around her stomach area, and so she got that checked and everything. And you know, she was only 47 at the time, so we didn't really think much of it. And so just having her come home and telling us that news, it was just so unexpected, because you know, you don't expect these kinds of things, especially with, you know, being a happy family, living life and doing your thing, and then all of a sudden, boom, you know, here's some news that's gonna change your world. And so it was just really hard to understand and grasp and adjust. It was really hard to adjust the first few weeks, I remember. the first few weeks I remember having a really bad stomach ache, and it wasn't like you ate bad food or something. It was more of like a burning sensation in my stomach, and I remember I went to the doctor to get that checked, and he was like, oh, does it hurt if I poke you here? Does it hurt if I poke you here? What if I do this, do that, you know? And there was no pain other than the sizzling sensation, and it wasn't until, you know, he's like, oh, take some medication, and it was still there. And for me, it lasted like 2-3 weeks, and I was just really confused on what this sensation was, and I was like, oh my god, like my mom is sick and now I might be sick with something. And it wasn't until I figured out that it was because I had anxiety, and that anxiety was really, you know, taking a toll on your physical body. And, you know, it wasn't until I somehow adjusted to this news and found a place where I could cope with it that that sizzling sensation was gone. And I in my head, I was like, oh my goodness, it must have been the anxiety. That, like, there's no other way that this would suddenly disappear, because suddenly I went from being super anxious about, you know, my mom being sick, how to adjust to this, what if she's not going to be here, and then suddenly, like, oh, okay, I understand the news, I understand what's going to happen, or what could happen, let me just continue living life to the fullest. And just from that switch, like, my anxiety dissipating, like, that feeling disappeared. And so I adjusted to it quite well, in my opinion, because I mean, if you know, I actually announced that my mom had cancer a month after she was diagnosed and after we found out, because I wanted to give myself some time to adjust to the news and everything too. But within that month, within that period that I was just really nervous and having anxiety about the news and just not feeling productive and motivated to do anything, I was still cranking out content and still posting on Instagram every single day, making YouTube content twice a week. And to, you know, the outside world, and to, like, you all, you may not have even noticed that I was going through things, because I've been, you know, putting out some content and putting out so much positivity. And it wasn't that, you know, I was faking my positivity. It was just, I genuinely deep down like to think that I'm a strong person. And so whether, you know, I'm going through this or that, I still want to maintain a strong mentality, because I think when everything, you know, goes wrong, that's all you really have is yourself. And so I truly just wanted to not only be strong in that sense, but also making content is a way for me to escape in a way. And so after this first month had gone by, and after, you know, getting adjusted to the news, getting adjusted to this new way of, you know, living for a bit, because we had to take care of her, you know, do extra housework, because, you know, your mom can't be your mom anymore. And so after a while, I just finally adjusted to it. And it was probably around June when my sister and I were about to graduate. So my sister and I had our own graduation party at our house. And before my mom got sick and everything, I remember our family just talking about how she wanted to throw this extravagant party because my sister and I would graduate the same year, and how she wanted to look really nice, and how afterward she would want to take us on a nice vacation to, you know, celebrate us finishing school. And I remember how I wanted to repay her back by, you know, buying her a luxury item or something, just to, you know, show my appreciation and how much she's done for me within my past 4 years of college. But unfortunately, after, you know, finding the news this year, you know, that couldn't work. And I remember prior to our graduation party, and like a few weeks while setting it up and everything, she was hugging me and she said, "I'm so sorry." And I said, "For what?" And she says, "I'm so sorry I ruined everything." And I said, "Oh my goodness, no, please don't think that." And it just breaks my heart to hear her say that, because she said, "I'm so sorry because I was planning this whole big party and this trip and just..." And to me and my sister were like, you know what? It doesn't matter. None of that stuff matters. What matters is right now, and that you're here with us, and that's all that matters. And just hearing her say that, you know, it just breaks my heart. And she's just so selfless. Even though she is, you know, sick with cancer, she still is thinking about my sister and I, and how, You know, she feels like it's her fault that things aren't going the way it should have. And the thing is, my sister and I could care less on if we go to a trip to celebrate, on if we have a big graduation party or not. Like, it could be at our house, it's fine. And what mattered the most was just being there with her. And I just remember both of us hugging each other on the couch and just crying and just letting all of her feelings out. And she just whispered to me everything she wanted to say, and she said, "I'll always be here for you. Stay strong." And that's what she really wanted. She wanted my sister and I, and just the whole family, to stay strong. She never wanted us to be sad because of her and whatever she's going through. Because at the end of the day, you know, she's just such a selfless person. And although she is going through so much pain, she would still want to see us be happy, even though it was really hard to be happy around her and in this environment and atmosphere. So at this time, around my graduation, she has been on chemo for a few months now. And the chemo has been taking a toll on her body. You know, you lose your hair. For her, she got like muscle soreness, so she really couldn't be as active and walk as often, so she could not attend my sister and I's graduation, which is totally fine and understandable. But just for her to feel so bad that she couldn't attend really just breaks my heart. And so after graduation and just after doing, you know, several rounds of chemo, and summertime goes by, it wasn't until, I want to say, the end of summer when things got more serious. So with ovarian cancer, it's really hard to detect early on. And so usually with ovarian cancer, from what I've researched and what I've been reading about, it's that you typically find out when you have it around like stage 3 or 4, and it's really rare that you find it early on. And when you do, you know, typically, you know, you're fortunate enough to get that treated early on. But unfortunately, in our case, it was found out during stage 4, and so it was really hard to fight back against with the chemo. And also the type of ovarian cancer she has wasn't taking the chemo well. Like her little bump, remember when I said that she went to an appointment because she had a bump? It was growing. It wasn't shrinking, because this chemo was supposed to be shrinking it, but the thing is, it was growing as time went by. And eventually the doctor had to say, hey, the chemo's not working, so we can try a different kind, and if that doesn't work, then I'm sorry, there's not much else we can do, because as time progresses, this little tumor is going to continue growing and it's going to continue spreading. And so we had to think fast. Around this time, around the end of the summer, when she was trying out a new chemo, I actually had a trip to LA for KCON, and a part of me was like, oh yay, I'm so excited to go, you know, maybe I can use this trip as a way to escape. But also a part of me felt guilty, and like I didn't want to leave my mom. But she wanted me to go. She said, you know, don't worry about me, have fun, be happy, and stay strong, because that's just the type of person she is. She's so selfless. She just wants you to be happy no matter what. So I went on with this trip, and probably halfway into the trip, I remember hanging out with my friends Mary and Nikki. So I just broke down during dinner, and we were just talking about my whole situation and how unexpected this whole situation was and how unfair it was. And around this time, I was also receiving a lot of backlash from a community that I thought I was a part of. And just the constant online harassment, and on top of my mom being sick, and just trying to balance out, you know, posting content, working, and just like, you know, everything going on. It really took a toll on me, probably end of August, early September. And I remember for like a while, I just completely shut off. Knowing me, I post every day, I film quite often, and I do lots of stuff for you all, but I remember for about a week, I just didn't do anything, and I wasn't active as much as I used to be. And for you all, it's totally understandable, but for me, that was just like such a shocker, because I'm the type of person that's just like, go, 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 you know, you gotta be productive. But I felt that I really deserved this time to be with my family and to reevaluate the things that have been going on in my life, and just to be with myself too, because I think mental health is so important and I didn't really value it as much as I do now. Around this time, it was just a lot to handle and everything was just coming from all angles, and I just felt so helpless, you know? Like, my mom was sick with cancer. I have to figure out how to balance my, you know, social media and work life with, you know, my mental health and family life. And then, you know, over here, there's like a group of people giving me backlash for something so petty. And it's just like so many things going on, and I just had to shut off completely for a while. I remember waking up every morning in that week just feeling so unmotivated to do anything. I would wake up and think like, I just want to go back to sleep, you know? And so it was hard, just a lot of things going on, and I feel like not a lot of people see that and know about that, because I guess in a way I hid it pretty well, but also I feel that you only see what we put out. So, you know, I may be going through things, and but I only post the positive aspects of my life, and I just feel that, you know, it's only fair that you get the full picture, because at the end of the day, we're all human. We all go through things. We're not always happy. And like I said again, it's okay to not be okay sometimes. And so I think it's only fair that now you see the full picture, and hopefully, you know, people get a better understanding that, you know, sometimes it's okay to take time for yourself. So when I got back home from my trip from LA, a lot of things had actually happened back at home while I was gone. So we have a nurse now helping my family out, and now she has her own little setup and her own little hospital bed in our house now, and it's just going home to that, from her, you know, being pretty active and pretty, you know, aware of her surroundings, to her just now like bedridden. It was such a shock, and being away from her for a few days, it was just really hard to see her go from, you know, when I last saw her walking around the house, and then seeing her in bed, you know, not being super aware, and it was just a lot to handle. Just to see someone you love and care so much about go from a state where, you know, they're here in the moment, present, to literally just absent from their mind, it's just so heartbreaking to see. And right now, currently, they actually had to take her off the chemo because none of it worked, and so at this point we're just waiting until her time comes, and it's tough, y'all. It's so weird to think. Like, a part of me accepts it, a part of me is like, okay, this is gonna happen. This is gonna happen one day. This is gonna happen sometime soon. And then a part of me is thinking, I can't believe this is happening. Like, am I really living this life right now where my mom is going to be gone and not there for, you know, my future milestones in life, when I get married, if I get kids, you know, my successful career. And I truly don't wish this upon even my worst enemies, to go through having a loved one be so sick to a point where, you know, they could go like that, because it's a different type of hurt. It's a whole different type of mental strength, okay? It's not the type of mental strength where it's like, oh, you need self-confidence because, you know, you don't feel good about yourself or something. Like, it's a whole different type of strength that you need to go through this experience. But my family and I have been doing well, and we've been just getting so much love and support all around from, you know, all types of family members to even you all. So I really appreciate those who check up on me every now and then. It really means a lot. It really does. So right now, we don't know how much longer she has. She's a little bit loopy because her medication is super strong now because of her tumor, because the chemo didn't work, so it didn't shrink, and she's off the chemo, and so the tumor is honestly massive and gruesome. So she's on a very high dosage of medicine, so right now she's kind of out of it, and it's so heartbreaking to see, because when I walk into that room and visit her, it's like, it's not really her, if you know what I mean. It's like someone else, really. Because you can think back to all the good times and all the times that, you know, your parent has scolded at you, and to see them being so silent and just not present in their body, it's just so heartbreaking. And honestly, you know, as of recently, my sister and I, we just sit there and just watch her, because we can't really talk to her because she can't really respond back, and it's really sad. But something that really does warm my heart is that when it's time to go to bed, when it's time for my sister and I to go to bed, after, you know, just spending time with her, and her just, you know, talking about her dreams and whatever she's seeing and hallucinating about, I go in and hug her, and I just whisper to her ear every time I say goodnight. I say, I love you, and she whispers back, I love you too. And it's just in that moment, it's like she's there. And it's so strange, because that entire time, you know, of just being in that room for, you know, an hour or so, of her just dazing and dozing off into the distance and blabbering on about whatever dreams she's been having, and just to her be there, it just, you know, kind of brought everything back together. And I remember for the longest time, it was so hard for me to be open with my feelings to my mom and to say I love you, because I don't know if it's my family or whatnot, but we never really vocalize and verbally say I love you, because we're not that affectionate, I guess, in that sense. I mean, I personally don't see a problem with it, but also, as of recently, just to say I love you, to me it was so hard, because every time I would say I love you, to me that was like a goodbye. And so it was just so hard to say I love you to her. But now more than ever, that's all I want to say. And now more than ever, I would rather have her, you know, yell at me for not cleaning my room, and, you know, yell at me for the rest of my life, than to not hear her voice ever again, you know. So the only thing she wants from me is to be happy and to be strong for not only her, my sister, the rest of my family, and everyone else around me, but also for myself. And from this moment forward, everything I do is for her now. Like, I want to make my mom proud, and I recently was featured in a physical magazine, and I remember before she got all, you know, hallucinating and everything, she was flipping through the pages, and when our nurse was visiting, she said, "This is my son." She was like, "This is my son," and she just held the magazine up, and I just want to make her proud. I just want to do everything out of respect for her. I don't want to disappoint her. I don't want to disappoint you. I don't want to disappoint myself. Everything I do from now is going to be out of love, out of respect, and out of being genuine. I know this day will come where she won't be with us anymore, which is still so hard to grasp, I feel like, until it actually happens. But all I can say to you all is that, you know, make the most of your loved ones and what you have, because you never know. Like, this whole experience was just so unexpected. I honestly was just living my all-time high, finishing up school, doing well with my whole thing going on, and then all of a sudden we get this news. And so what I want you to draw out of this is that spend time with your loved ones, because time you can't get back. That's not something you can buy. And so I want you to take that with you. Also, I also want you to take with you that your health is really important, okay? You could be the richest person in the world, but without your health, what are you gonna do with that money, you know? I don't know. Let's say you want materialistic things, like you want a new sports car, you want that, you know, brand name bag or something. Well, if you're bedridden and you're sick, what are you gonna do with that sports car? And what are you gonna do with that bag? It's gonna sit in your closet in your garage, you know what I mean? Same thing with traveling. If your health isn't well, but you're rich in abundance of money, how are you going to be able to travel the world if you're not healthy, you know? So you can have all the money in the world, but if you don't have health, then what are you going to do? So I really want you to take into consideration and valuing your health, mentally, physically, in between everything. And also I want you to hopefully find some strength within this, because throughout this whole experience, looking back and reflecting on everything that's been going on for the past year, I just genuinely want to just look at my past self, or even future self, and say, you've been through quite a lot and more than you could handle, but you are hanging on and you are doing things and things are happening, and you're holding up pretty well. And I'm so proud of myself, of how I've been able to just mentally and physically manage everything, because I really don't know how, but I did. And so I just hope you find a tiny ounce of strength in that, because like I said, I truly don't wish this upon anyone. It's a whole different type of hurt, it's a whole different type of mental strength, but I truly hope that you know, if I am able to endure this, then you can possibly go through whatever you're going through with whatever situation. With that being said, once again, I just ask you to respect me and my family and just everyone around you, and just be a respectful person in general. And be there for me when things get tough, because someday, you know, she's not going to be here, and that's the day where I'm going to need the support the most. And so I ask you to be there for me as well. At this moment, I don't plan on taking any long break, because I know a lot of people take, you know, mental breaks and whatnot, but I've been able to manage everything, and so I'm just gonna do whatever I can handle. But just know that if I am absent from the internet or whatnot, just know that it's most likely because of my family. And so I want you to be aware of that. So I don't plan on taking any long break. If not, I'll take like a week off or something, just to relax and spend time with my family and my mom and get things together, I guess. But I guess thank you for your time. Thank you for listening. I know this was long, but I really just wanted to get my piece out there and my story, and get this off my chest. I've been meaning to make this video for a while now, but I'm glad I got my word out there. I'm glad I got my story out there in hopes of helping you all, and hopefully you getting a better understanding of me as a person and where I'm coming from. But yes, I'm glad we're all hanging in there. So yeah, I love you all so much. Thank you for listening, and I will see you all soon. So